clear, unambiguous, and opposed to the activities that you described. The second question.
Well, how do you explain the fact that DynCorp and its successor companies have received and continue to receive government contracts?
I would have to go and find the facts, but there are laws and rules and regulations with respect to government contracts, and there.
Now think about that for a second. Come on, look at his hand. He's not doing a kind of, my fingers just got out of the way. He's got his fingers in a claw. What the hell is his fingers doing in a claw? Maybe you don't know so much. Maybe you need to begin to understand what is really happening here. But Cynthia McKinney is no fool. No fool at all. And Rumsfeld's about to get his ass handed to him.
Times that corporations do things they should not do, in which case they tend to be suspended for some period. There are times then that under the laws and the rules and regulations that passed by the Congress and implemented by the executive branch, that corporations can get off of out of the penalty box, if you will, and be permitted to engage in contracts with the government. They're not generally not barred in perpetuity.
This company was never in the penalty box. If you could proceed to my second question, please.
The second question, I've forgotten what the second question was.
Booyah! Kicked his ass! That's called spiritual power. This punk ass don't understand what he's dealing with. Because McKinney is part of the black man. According to the Sangak tribes, she is of the black man. The black man is very, very advanced. Far more advanced than Rumsfeld. So, if she's confounded him, this is equivalent. Let's just put this in perspective. When you watch the movie Star Wars, and the stormtroopers walk up to Obi-Wan Kenobi and Luke Skywalker when they land in Mos Eisley, and they're like, "We need to see your identification." And they're like, "You don't need to see our identification." That's what, Obi-Wan says. Ben says. And they're like, "We don't need to see your identification. These aren't the droids you're looking for. These aren't the droids we're looking for. Move along. Move along." And when he's explaining this to Luke Skywalker, he says, the Force... Well, first of all, Luke doesn't believe it happened, and this is consistent with this boy who doesn't understand spiritual power throughout the whole of the series, till he has to step into it himself. And even then it's challenging. But what you see with Yoda more than anything else. But he says to Ben, "I thought we were goners," basically. And Ben says to him, Obi-Wan says to him, the Force can work. The Force basically works well on the weak-minded. Now, in the secular order that is currently taking place, and even the secular order with those Ron Paul people, and the people who want to get rid of the Fed, and all this bullshit, they're focusing on the wrong thing. You can't deal with what you are facing with a secular weapon. And I think Cynthia McKinney proves that here.
I appreciate your interest in our department's financial condition, and we are working very hard on that program. I've just come back
recently...
I understand that you're working hard on it, but
Oh, now Cynthia McKinney shreds this woman. So much so that she becomes in conflict with her own group. You shouldn't be saying that, you know, hey.
Question was, who has the contract? How long have they had that contract? And how much money have we spent on it?
In general, we spend about $20 billion in the Department on Information Technology Systems. The accounting systems are part of that. I can get you the exact number for the record of what we spend on our current, what we call legacy systems, and those that we're moving toward.
And who has the contracts?
That would be a multitude of individuals.
Could you name some, please?
Well, I think off the top of my head, well, I would rather not. I'd rather provide that for the record.
That's not privileged information, is it?
I'm sure it's not.
Well, please. We still have time, so please.
I would be glad to provide for the record. I don't want to talk from the top of my head and be incorrect.
On your first question...
Oh, Rumsled comes back in. This is fun. This is so fun to watch. Man, she's handing them their ass, which is why, of course, she was attacked. Now, the fact it was an Israeli ship, big friggin' deal. Makes no difference. The devil works through all people. Not just the Jews, not just the Christians. And it's not even really the devil. It's more of a class of being that feeds off of lies. And if you look at what's happening here, you really look at what's happening in the world, you cannot go into a friggin' courtroom and tell the truth. You can't. If you do, you will be crucified. Think about that for a second. Think about how fucked up the world is if you cannot tell the truth. And who feeds off of you not telling the truth? There's a whole class of spirits that feed off of you not telling the truth. And they bind to your denial. They bind to your lies. They become a part of you. And then you need medication. Because in Jesus' day, they call it being possessed.
And I'm advised by Dr. Chu that it was not the corporation that was engaged in the activities you characterized, but I'm told it was an employee of the corporation. And it was some years...
Classic. It's not me. It's not the corporation. We're not responsible for what the little corporation does. We're just gonna rape you in the fucking process. It's just one guy. Well, guess what? The one guy represents the corporation. Period. The one guy in the military who decides to start torturing people represents the fucking military. So they better get their shit together. Classic. You wait till the pagans come in to kick ass. They got more spiritual power than you can imagine.
Ago in the Balkans that took place.
It's my understanding that it continues to take place. And
is that right?
Yes.
Well, if you can give me information to that effect,
I'm sure you are interested in all of the information that I have, and I'll be more than happy to provide it to you.
Good, thank you.
But I would also like to get information from you.
Okay.
Now, her eyes there are seeing through him. I mean, she ain't fucking around. This girl, whoever decided to get her out of Congress, knew exactly what they were doing. Exactly. You got her, Dennis Kucinich, Ron Paul. Now we're dealing with this bullshit situation with